Hi guys, welcome to my make a snake game using Python and Pygame tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you how to build a snake game using Python and the Pygame library. It's going to contain an interactive menu as well. So let's see a demonstration of what I'm talking about. So snake, whatever. So let's say you gave it a name and then you have a difficulty. So let's give it a medium difficulty and select play. So we have, the snake signifies in white, and the food object is signified as a purple object. And as you saw, if you hit the bottom of the screen or any of the edges, then the game ends. So as you see, the score is incremented by 10, and the name I gave on the start screen is appended. So it says Snakey. Okay, so we can keep getting points. And in case you're wondering, so this is a collision object, and if I were to crash into it, it would end the game like so. So it's, it crashes the game. It causes the game to be over. And if we click press replay game, it will have the same effect. So as you see right there. Okay, so let me show you the boundary. So over here, if you crash and then the game is over. So that's my snake game. Let's go through how to build it. Then let's start from the top. So first it's going to be some global variables. So first we're going to say Pygame init to start Pygame. Then we'll say display width, and display height, and then we're going to give it some colors. So black is black. So display width and height is the dimensions of the main window. And for this, for the white color, this is the RGB code white, and then this is the RGB code for red. And we're going to give instantiate a variable called difficulty. This is going to hold the difficulty of the game. Let me just paste in this comment right here so you guys can read it. What it is it controls the difficulty of the game. So it defaults to easy. And if you were to change to medium or hard, then it would kick these corresponding values. Now we're going to set the window. So win is the main window object, and we're going to assign display width and height. Clock, we're going to say Pygame time clock. Let's say player. So this clock object will keep track of the time management in the game. And these two variables are for displaying the name in the gameplay section. So as you saw, if I gave a name, then it shows up in the gameplay section. And it's because of these two variables. So over here we're setting up a function called setup snake food. We create a new variable called new food position random range, and we're going to say 1 comma display width, and we're going to divide it while rounding up, which is what this does. And we're going to comma and then random range 1. So this is for the x coordinate, and this is going to be for the y coordinate. So display height, so Yeah, so x coordinate, y coordinate, and then we're going to return the new food position. So as you saw, the purple object represents the food position, the food object, and the position of that object is randomly generated using this function, and it's returning that position. We'll do the same for the collision object. So we say collision, and we're going to say new collision object random range, and it's going to be the exact same thing. So let's save some time here by copying. Okay, so the new collision object is randomly generated as well, and then we're going to return this collision object. And next we have set game difficulty, and it's going to take two parameters, so the selected, which is a tuple, and the value, which is a type of any. So if the value is 1, then we know it's in easy mode, and then we set the difficulty to 25, as you saw in the multi-line comment above. If the value is 2, then the level is medium, and we set difficulty to 50. If value is 3, then we set the difficulty to 100, which is the hard value. And else, if you're given anything other than that, then we just default to the easy value. And this should be else if. elif. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. So now we have show game score. So font size and then game score. And we have game score font, Pygame font, this font size. So we're just generating a font using the font and the size to give the style and the size. And now we have surface, render layer name. So this is the code that generated the display message you saw on the top right of the screen. So it adds the player's name to this string. So whoever player's game score is, whatever it is. So we're taking the game score, which is an integer, convert it to a string, and then concatenate with that other string. So we pass a value of true here and a color of white. Now we have game score rect. So we're going to use a surface object to get a rectangle. So not a rectangle, a rect object. And we're going to save it to game score rect. And then we're going to say game rect mid top. So we're centering this object using the display height variable, the value of 15. And then we're going to lit this game surface to the main window. So let's say game score rect. And so this displays the game score onto the main window using the lit method function. Sorry, method. And so collision. So now we're on the show collision object method, and we say collision object position snake width, snake height, and we have collision. We'll call this a collision object rect. We'll say Pygame rect collision object position, it's X value, and then collision object's positions Y value, and the snake width and the snake height. So we're making a rect object with the collision position X value and Y value to give this collision object an X and Y value. Next, we have to assign an image for this collision object. Next, so we're going to do pygame image load, and I have a local file in my local system called redbrickwall.jpg, which is an image file, and we're using this image file to load. Um, I'll go over how you guys can get uh, an image file, which is similar. Let me just finish coding this. So we have image resize, and we say pygame transform. So the problem with this image is it's too big. I think it's about 1200 by 1200 size wise, which is way too big for our application because it's only 600 by 400. So we have to use the transform scale method to make this image smaller. Image, and we give it the size of snake width and snake height. So we're taking this image and we're giving it a width of, so I think this is 25 and snake height 25 as well. So we're making it much smaller, so 25 by 25. And we need to do this because this collision object is using this image as a sprite. So we pass in the new image and the rectangle object, so rect. Okay, so now we go to set player name, begin global, so player name, and then global default player name. Oh yes, before I forget, so in this red brick wall image, if you want to get the exact same image, I have my blog post at codinginformer.com. Visit my blog and go over here where I created a GitHub gist for this source code. And I included a link here, which is this link. So open up this link and it's an imager URL. Just click download to download this to your local file system. Then you can move it to your local directory and reference it. Or you could use a completely different image. So this is saying global player name and default player name. So it's you're using the global keyword to access these global variables. And we need to access these global variables because we have to assign the player name. So over here, we're assigning, we're not using this. We're using whatever came through the name parameter, and we're giving it to the player name global variable, and we're giving default player name value as false. Then we'll say set default player name global player name, so global player. Yeah, so if the player does not specify a username or name, then they're given a name of guest, and default player is set to false. Okay, so now we show, we start the show start screen method, the function. display width, height, display height, title, so welcome to Snake Game or something like that. Theme. So this is the theme. So we're saying Pygame menu themes theme blue. So it's giving a built-in theme, and that theme is called theme blue. And by they I mean the Pygame library. So then we're going to add a text input, name your name, and we'll say default. So default value of guest, and then on change you have set player name. So whenever there's a change in this text input, the player name gets updated via this player name global variable. And then we'll say button play game loop. So this is the main function of this game. The game loop function holds all the game logic. And over here is the quit button, and it's using a PyMenu event of exit. And then we can say if default player name is true, then the user has not picked a name, and then we call set default player name. And then we can say start menu main loop win. So this main loop method adds the start menu to the main window. Then we have a simple function called replay game, and we're just going to call game loop. So whenever we want to replay the game, we just call game loop. Next we have the show end screen. So over here we have game score, and as we saw in the show start screen function, we need to do the similar implementation with a slight difference. We'll have display height, something like game over, and then theme Pygame menu themes theme blue. So it's giving a blue theme, and then we have menu. Add a label. We'll say your score, and we're going to convert the game score int variable passed in as a parameter to a string, and then concatenate that to the string we're going to display. Replay game. So this is going to be a button called replay game function, which in turn calls the game loop function. Menu. So we have menu here. Quit game. So we're going to quit the game. Pygame menu events exit. End menu main loop win. So again, we're using the main loop function, the main loop method to attach this menu to the main window. Okay, so now it's time to code the most important function of this program, and it's called game loop. So sorry. Yeah, so we have snake position, display width divided by 2, display height divided by 2. So this represents the snake's position on the screen as a default value. So it's given a default value of the middle of the screen. So display width is the boundaries of the screen, and if you divide that by 2, you get the exact middle. So display width, divide that by 2, display height, divide that by 2 as well, and then we create uh, display width, divide by 2 minus 10. And what we're doing here is we're creating a body of the snake. So the snake obviously has more than one segment, and what snake position represents is the head segment. So the head of the snake, while the snake body represents 3 uh, later subsequent snake segments um, shown by display width 2, display height. So this is one segment, second segment, and then third segment. Okay, and so that's going to represent the body of the snake, and then we're going to define the snake's width. It's going to have a width of 20, and it will be represented as a system of squares. So it has 20, 20 for height and width. So the speed is given a value of 5. Snake direction given a value of up. So the snake will travel up by default. And the new direction for now is given the snake direction variable's value. So game exit is given false, so don't exit the game. And the game score variable. Okay, so now we're going to get the food position using the setup food, snake food method. And then we're going to say show food equals true. Collision object position setup show collision object, so true. Okay, so what this is doing is setting up the collision object's position, in terms of x being the first element of an array and the second element being the y coordinate of the array. And now we're going to code the main while loop. So while not game exit, while game exit is false, we're going to call time delay to give it a bit of time to pace the game. And then we're going to say event get. We're going to get all the events in Pygame for this current iteration, and if we're past the quit event, then we say run equals false to quit the game. And next we're going to hold the key value that was pressed as in the keys variable. If we say if keys Pygame key escape, so if the user presses the escape key, that indicates to us that we need to quit the game using py quit and system exit and break. If keys Pygame k left, so if the user enters left, then we say new direction equals left. And I'll explain what the purpose of this new direction variable is very soon. And basically what it is there's a rule in Snake game that the snake is not allowed to travel in the opposite direction instantaneously. So for example, if the snake is traveling up and the user presses down, indicating the snake to travel down, that's not allowed. What you have to do is you have to go there indirectly. So the snake would have to go left and then down. So the snake cannot move up and then down instantaneously. It has to go up, left, down, or up, right, down. So that's the purpose of these variables. And down. Okay, so we code up these new variables to get the new direction. And now what we're going to do is we're going to check if snake direction is not up and the new direction is down. So we're going for the happy path scenario. So in this case, the user does not break the game's rules and obeys it. So we're going to let the new direction equal the snake direction. So this is allowed. But if the snake direction was up and the new direction was down, that would not be allowed because of the rules I just mentioned. So we're just going to continue here. So same thing here. Okay, so if it's new direction is up and the current direction is not down, then that's valid. And we're just going to do the same thing for left and right. So if left and right, if right and left. So if the current direction of the snake is left and the user wants it to go right, that's not allowed. And if it's not right, if it's up or down, that is allowed. And that's what this bunch of if statements do. And now we come to the section where we insert a snake object into the snake body array. And we have snake body inserting a snake position list object into its first position. Then we check is close. So is close is a method in the math Python library, and we're going to use this to check the snake's x coordinate. Compare that to the food object's x coordinate. So we want to see if the snake is close to the food in a proximity of 5 and is close. Snake position 1, food position 1, and is the snake close to the food position in the y-axis, again with a precision of 5. So game score plus increment it by 10, and we say show food equals false, else snake body.pop. So what we're doing over there is we're checking if this food is close to the snake by a value of 5, and if it is, we increment the game score and set show food to false to disappear, to make that food object disappear. So this means the snake ate the food and is growing. Else, the snake body is removed what we just inserted. So this case means the snake did not eat the food and therefore it does not get to grow. So it pops whatever that was inserted in line 140. So in this case it grows, in this case it stays the same. So that's a basic idea of what it does. And then we have S is close. So now we have to check if the snake's position in relation to the collision object is not near. If it is near, then we need to end the game. So this means the snake has collided with the collision object, and that's a place for exiting the game. There's a typo here. Okay, so snake position 1, collision object position 1, ABS, ball, snake height 10. Okay, so if the snake collides with the collision object, then we immediately end the game. Call in show end screen method, show end screen function, and passing in the game score variable. Then we say if not show food. So if show food is set to false, so means the snake has ate the current food object, then we set up a new food object by calling setup snake food, and we reset the show food boolean value back to true because we want that to be regenerated. So, and then we do the same for the show collision. So if show collision, we say show collision object position, setup object, and then we say show collision true. So if the collision is false, so it actually takes place, we render a new collision. Now we fill the screen with the black background color we define globally up top. And then we increment through each segment of the snake's body, and then we say Pygame draw rect. We pass in a color of white. Then we call Pygame rect x coordinate of the segment and y coordinate of the segment, snake width, snake height, and we say draw rect when, and we give it the purple color for the food. And right now what we're doing is, so this draws every segment in the snake, which might be subject to expansion if the snake eats the food. And now right now we're drawing the food. So over here we have food position, snake width, snake height divided by 2, and so this is drawing the food object in the main window. If, and now we will move on. So we say position, so the x coordinate if it's less than 0, or snake position x coordinate is greater than the display width, and then we must give it a bit of leeway, so we need to minus it, snake width divided by 2, and then so basically we're checking if the snake has exceeded the game boundaries. If it's hit one of the game boundaries, then we immediately end the game. by calling show end screen, and that was for the X direction. So what we do is we do the same for the Y direction. Okay, so zeros turn into ones. Height. Height. And we, in that case also we end this game. And then finally we call the game score function. We pass in the font name of Consolas, because that's a pretty common font and it looks pretty nice. So that's what we'll use here. So, and then we say display update. So this method, display update, refreshes the screen for each iteration. Then clock tick and difficulty. So clock tick difficulty defines how many frames per second the game will allow as a maximum. So it's currently set to 25 as the default value, meaning the game will run slower than it would if it were 100. So if it were 100, it would allow a maximum of 100 frames per second. So that will cause the game to run faster, which would make the game more difficult for the end user. Okay, so now we call the show start screen from the procedural uh, aspect of the function of the file. Since we don't have a main method here, normally we would include this line in our main method, but since we're doing it procedurally, we just include show start screen at the end. And what show start screen does is it displays this starting prompt to the user, from which the user can either A, decide to start the game, or B, decide to quit the game. See? Okay, so let's see this in action. And yeah, so this is what it looks like. So this, in the case of the default username, uh, as you see, it says the guest game score. So in case you don't enter, the default value of guest is assigned for the player's name. And if we were to crash into the collision object, the game immediately ends. If we were to go off boundaries, the game immediately ends. And if we were to quit, the game immediately quits. So that's it for my tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to view the GitHub gist for this program, it's in the description. And if you want to read my blog post regarding my snake game, please feel free to do so. It is also in the description. And yeah, thank you for watching my video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps a lot. And leave any comments below what you think about this video and what you guys want me to do next as a tutorial or anything else. And thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.